so we'll make a start. Can I welcome you to Brent Knoll Parish Council's October meeting. I'm Councillor Bob Filmer, I'm Chairman of the Council. Before we get on to the agenda itself, I believe we have a member of the public who wants to address something. Mr. Hammond, was it yourself who wanted to say a few words?
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Hammond, and I'm one of the two directors of the Orchard Grove Management Company. My co-director, Richard Sorby, unfortunately can't be here, so he sends his apologies. Owen was kind enough yesterday to attend our AGM, and the main topic of conversation was the overhanging trees, the ones that are planted along the edge of the A38 road, which also now are seriously overhanging Orchard Grove. I don't know whether you know or not, but when Colne Developments built the development, they planted a hedge along the A38 side, but we can't cut the hedge until the trees are dealt with, and so it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. It seriously needs cutting, but we're prevented from doing it. My plea to you today is simply to ask if it's possible for the contractor that cuts the hedge along the A38 side, who I understand is employed by the parish council, just to do our side as well and make it possible then for us to cut our hedge. Otherwise, what's going to happen? The overhanging tree is going to catch in a large vehicle. There's going to be problems of all sorts, insurance, etc. Anyway, that's just about it. If you've got any questions about it, I'll be very pleased to answer.
Any questions from anybody?
I must admit, I can't picture it, but presumably everybody knows more about it than me. But
So in effect, if you head down Orchard Grove, there's the road with the houses predominantly on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, as was said, Colne planted a Lilandi hedge on the inside boundary. Beyond that, there are a number of trees which are then between that and the A38. So it's that section, in effect, that runs from where the bus stop is up towards the Sanders area.
right, and Jason is required or something like that to cut that hedge.
Well, at present, Jason does the area from Brent Street. He does the grass up to more or less where the bridge goes across to the new development, to the bus stop area.
Yeah.
Beyond that, he doesn't do anything at the moment, and technically they are highways trees. So it may be something that we need to talk to highways about as well.
Okay, but you wanted the hedge cutting.
We will do the hedge, but we want the trees cutting, which will then enable us to do the hedge. In fairness, there aren't, I think you'll agree, Owen, there aren't many trees that are overhanging,
No.
but the ones that are seriously overhanging, and they need dealing with ASAP if possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And as you pointed out, there is a danger element to them if they continue to hang over, I suppose. So whoever deals with them, ultimately they need dealing with it, I guess, don't they? Whoever is responsible for them in the end.
Do we not know who's responsible for the trees? It's highways?
I think it will be highways. But what we can do, we can't obviously debate it tonight because it's not on our agenda. What I can do, wearing a different hat, is raise it with highways through the unitary authority, because they're the authority, and then I can report that. If we put it on the next agenda, I can report that back to the next meeting as to what progress, if any, we've got.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much.
No worries. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Cheers. Right, members, that brings us to then the items on our agenda for tonight. So the first item is apologies for absence. Do we have
Apologies
any
from Adi and from John.
Okay, are members happy that we approve their apologies? That's unanimous. Declarations of interest. If I kick off, it's my normal declaration for membership of the Unitary Council, the parish hall shed in part relating to that, and also my dispensation with regard to the shop because of my shareholding. Comment?
Me, the shop. Like you, one shop.
Chair.
prejudicial on the churchyard.
That's the planning application, absent, okay. Yeah, Jane. Any other decorations? Thank you very much. We've got the minutes of the last meeting, which was the 6th of September, were circulated. Are there any amendments to those? If not, can I propose that they're a true and accurate record? Thank you. All those in favour, I sign them as such. Excellent.
There we go. Carry on to the one.
Okay. The next item I need to come to you for because it's the co-option. So.
Oh, right, yeah. We advertised last month for to fill the vacancy, and we didn't. Sorry, I'm just trying to go through the notes here. We didn't get a great deal of response, but we did at the very last minute get one of our former councillors, Andy Holmes, who left us in May 22 when the elections came because he had work commitments going up north regularly. He now has got slightly different work arrangements, and he feels now he could come back and serve the parish council again. Albeit he, in fact what I'll do is, if I may, just read his letter to the chairman and members of the parish council. I'd like to formally request rejoining the parish council and bring my business background and love for the village. As you may be aware, I stood back from the parish council due to commitments within my role as director of Armacell UK. I'm still the director of this business, but the major projects have now been completed and the turnaround is happening. This will allow me to commit time to the parish. I would ask the councillors for a little leeway on meetings. It may be that the role takes me away from the meeting occasionally, but I do anticipate being able to attend over 50% of meetings and will endeavour to make all. I also spoke to him, and apparently the trips to the north are going to be less so as time goes on, as the contract is fulfilled. So it sounds as though what he's saying is he may struggle in the first few months, but as time goes on, he will become, a more regular attendant. So that's his request to become back on the council again.
Okay. So members, as far as it goes, we advertised, we've only had the one response. We are not duty bound to appoint anybody if we don't wish to at this stage. But how do members feel about the one candidate that we've now put forward? Do you want to have a discussion or is there a proposal?
Well, when Andy Holmes was a member of the council before, he was a very active member, took an active role in council work, supportive, knowledgeable. I would suggest that we make use of his skills going forward on the parish council, and I'd like to propose that we accept Andrew and co-opt him into the council.
Okay.
I think he would be beneficial to the parish council.
Okay. Are there any other comments that anyone wants to make, or we go to the vote? And obviously, if you want to support Andy coming on, you vote for. If you don't, then obviously vote against. Because there is no other option. So, we have a recommendation that's been proposed that we do co-opt Andy back to the council. All those in favour of that, please show. Okay, any against? Okay, so that is clearly carried. So we'll write to formally notify him.
Inform him of the decision of the council.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That moves us on to item 4, which is the planning considerations.
That's correct.
And I think, is it David, you introducing this?
Yeah. Do you want to put it on the screen?
Do you want on the screen?
Yeah.
Put it on the screen for you.
Which one? If you want to step outside for a moment. Just for clarity, for members to understand why Malcolm is leaving. Malcolm was formally notified by the Unitary Council of this planning application because he was because in effect the property boundary of the property he lives at bounds the boundary of the church, the the particular area that the path is doesn't have any impact on him, but it's the land ownership issues. He was formally notified, and we've always tended to work on the basis if you've been notified by the council that they think you deserve to be told, it's better that you declare that interest and get out at that point. So that's why Malcolm's left us.
And that's the location. Anything else you want to say?
No, but if there's the one off the path on the location, well, they should see. Proposed, I think.
That one, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, can you zoom out a bit?
Try.
Where it's got
You
30% at the
do
top. Yeah, other way. That's better. Bit
Is
more.
that better?
No, minus, I think.
Minus now, right? Yeah.
I think it's minus again.
That was a bomb.
That would do.
You'd like that one, would you?
Well, it shows the route of the path, but
Right, okay.
basically the church is here, and then the path goes. This bit of path actually already exists, but it's grassed over. It's been done many years ago, so I did it. It goes out here, and then the proposed path is to take it from the tree up the line that the graveyard used to finish at, and then go into the remembrance garden, which is here. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, it's a gravel path, sort of stone with dust, so it's bound together, so it's quite impermeable, so water will go through it. It's not been, from their directions, it's not been dug into the ground in much of it at all. They're putting it on top, and they're bringing the soil level to meet it, which is quite a good idea in the situation. That's about all. There's no comments online, but there is one objection from the neighbour in the stables, Mr. Hacker, that he's worried about water, which is a problem. I mean, Bob have been up there before. This path sort of exacerbating the flooding risk to his property.
Which would be
in that corner. I don't think it caused him £3,000 worth of damage in earlier this year, not too long ago, from water going down through the graveyard, and he thinks that the path will make it as a bit more like a river. But the architects, conservation architects, have actually responded to his concerns in another document that's on there, saying that they will remove the spoil heap, which is in the bottom corner. They'll remove that in an effort to improve the flooding issues for the adjacent residents if it's felt this is contributing to the flooding issue. The path also was positioned carefully because of flooding risk, and I don't know what else. Oh, the permeable nature of the path and the surface water, which me and Bob have talked about, and we're going to be in discussions with landowners. They've also acknowledged, the applicants have been informed, the owners of the adjacent land have acknowledged there's a problem and are investigating solutions to mitigate the issues, and that's from the architect. So I don't know what people feel around the table.
Any comments or questions?
None people understand why there's going to be an issue. Because it's not making a significant difference.
No, they've changed. When it was first discussed, the line of the path has been moved because of these concerns as well, to somewhere more sensible. But
Yeah, I mean, it is a problem when we had the severe rain, and the water did flow through the stables like a waterfall over where he's boxed in the existing garage. Now, right at as you look at that, it literally was pouring over there. Oh, yeah, it was really bad. I didn't know that he'd recently suffered water damage to that extent. I didn't think we'd had that bad a rainfall to warrant that, unless of course he has made amendments to the garden and his property, which may well be exacerbated. But the water does, because that double line there, David, that's a hedge, isn't it?
With this bit.
That's a hedge. So you've got water that flows down the field anyway from that top of the kissing gate.
I think when we looked at it, he did separate the dirt bank in the bottom corner where they historically tip sort of grade spoil. That he thought that maybe that levelling out, and the architect has acknowledged that in his replying to these comments on that. So.
I was just going to say that shouldn't we be guided by what the architect's recommendations, and if the architect is confident that it's not going to cause a problem, and especially if that spoil heap at the bottom is dealt with, if he's confident that it's okay, then I'm guessing that that's what we should be guided by.
Does it affect Niall and Jeanette's because it goes straight across the back of them?
No.
Yeah. So they're okay.
Mr. Hacker is in the lowest point.
No.
Everything congregates in the corner
around there.
where he's got a drain, and the drain, if it gets a few leaves or anything, is blocked.
Yeah.
Because originally when they did the conversion of the old stables into the dwelling, they had to do some fairly major drainage work to take the water flow under it anyway, didn't they, years ago?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well,
What is there at the moment? Is it just grass?
Yeah.
Except for this bit down here, which has been...
That is a mound.
Yeah, no, I mean for people to get up to the Remembrance Garden,
Yeah, it's literally grass.
if you're in a wheelchair or anything,
there's
which a lot of
there's
old
not-
Yeah, so
people...
there's David's
No, you
that
wouldn't be
been
able to
under
because
issues.
there isn't
Sort of
any
there.
access without.
But
There's no access at all.
this is the hit for the
Yeah.
reason for putting
Yeah.
a path in, because of
It's
this,
a
the
good idea
access.
then.
So,
looking for a recommendation.
I would propose that we accept this recommendation on the grounds of, well,
Improved accessibility.
improved access to an important area of the graveyard.
Okay. Architect made some reference to the spoil heap. Is
yeah.
that worth?
Yeah, I was going to say, shall we put that as a footnote?
Yes,
We're supporting
the spoil
it.
heap should be
Yeah.
particularly or addressed.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so we've got a recommendation then, which is to support the application on the basis of improved access, subject to
the spoil heap.
addressing the spoil heap as highlighted
Yeah.
by.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone happy with that recommendation?
Yeah.
No further amendments. So those in favour, please show. And I'm going to abstain just to make sure if it doesn't come to
Majority.
Okay, Martin, that.
Yeah.
that'd be great. Right, the next item on the agenda is the clerk's report.
Yeah, there's a few items just to take you through. You didn't get any responses from it, so I assume on that basis you were quite happy with it, but I sent out a project tracker document because I'm conscious of the fact that sometimes when we have things that are ongoing, it's sometimes hard to keep a track of what we've done so far and where we're at. This is now used by quite a number of parish councils apparently, and so I thought, okay, let's give it a go and see whether that gives us a bit of control over ongoing issues. And my intention would be to update that in the middle of each month. So after we've had a parish council meeting, and there's been a few things which we've had to follow up on, that should be a good time then to update this in time for the next meeting. So you should then be able to see what the latest progress is and any updating issues. So if you think that's a better than just a lot of notes, which is really where we've been at the moment, happy to run with that.
Just to confirm everyone happy with that, we do that. And again, when that comes out and is circulated, if there are items that you think...
Or if you've updated anything. you know,
Yes.
if you've
Yeah,
updated
the
anything
client
which is not on there, then that's useful to know as well.
Yeah.
So I can add those things to it.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing is the Gmail setup, which I know that Tracy was amazing. You did it, I think, within about 2 minutes. I think I actually done it. Were you all happy with that as a way forward to have a dedicated Gmail account for the council? What I thought was to give everybody a chance to set it up. If we started it, say, from November the 1st, that gives everybody about a month or so to get used to using Gmail. If there's any issues with it, I don't suppose there is. Quite straightforward, I think. Even someone like me, it's quite straightforward.
Well, I tried to do it. I don't know if I have.
Well,
Check and
we'll give it a go.
Yes.
We'll give it a go.
It's quite. I said the only problem I ran into was because I already had a Gmail account,
Yeah.
so I had to put a 1 after it.
Yeah.
So,
So
but
it doesn't matter.
yeah, because when I went and set it up as like the Brent Knoll one, it said it did it, and then but I hadn't done it. It had gone onto my Gmail thing, so then I had to put a 1 on it and then delete that one. So
Okay.
yeah, it might be.
Okay, that's fine. So we're.
I'm not sure how that happened either, but just did.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I wasn't quite sure the best way to do it. I spoke to Jim, it's Brent who's done
I'll tell you the easiest way to do it, because I'll tell you what I should have done in the first place. I went into Gmail. What I should have done is go into your emails account on your settings, and where it says add account, add the account there, and it'll give you a list of service providers, and you click
it. Oh, right, okay.
Google, the Gmail one, and then you add the account on that. Of course, I didn't. I went. We'll show you how to do it. It's really easy. But if I did it, I found that out when I'd already fluffed it up the other way. So I'm now stuck with something on Gmail that's floating on the but I put in Gmail on Google.
It's no good you laugh.
Yeah.
But if you go to the mail settings and do add account on that.
Well, if members get it set up, and
Whatever the else are.
just to make sure, so if you try and get it set up, whichever one is the account you're going to use, if you can then drop Owen an email just so he gets something from you, he can then reply back and you can then make sure you're getting
I
stuff from
sent
him.
you it on it, didn't I? Yeah.
And then obviously for the next, from November, then it will be going out to the dedicated emails, which we've each got, which is not a personal one. So that'll be fine.
You okay, Victoria?
Is this still funny, is it?
Well, having heard Amanda's explanation, no.
Well, hopefully, if maybe David or Tracy, who seem to have been the two in the least trouble.
Tracy's obviously the expert.
On Gmail. Okay.
Right. So that's it. So anyway, I'll leave it perhaps for November the 1st. If there's any problems, you know. I've got a couple of ideas. Windy Ridge update. I don't know whether that footpath is now being, it might be being brought
We'll
up.
probably deal with that on the footpath.
Okay, so that's whether that's been done or not. National Grid meeting will cover the later item. The Orchard Grove management was dealt with earlier on. That we will add to the agenda for November, if you're happy with that. And then there was the Bollards incident, which has a little bit of a story of its own, but I think it's history now, so we don't need to worry about it. But they appeared and we hopefully found out eventually who they were belonging to. So that's basically it, really.
Okay.
So that's all I've got at the moment.
Anything under surgery?
Not really. Well, I say not really. That we had one speeding issue going from Burton Road came up, as tends to happen fairly frequently. And now people in Burton Road would like us to consider purchasing another SID for Burton Row only, because they believe that Burton Row is not getting proper coverage of the SID exposure, so to speak. So something which I guess we can consider later on, if two at the moment. The one's predominantly on Ham Road, I think, isn't it? And the other one is predominantly on Brent Street.
Yeah. Just on the SID front, have we been in touch with him about the battery replacements that we were talking about? Because
I did mention it to him, so whether he's done it, I don't know. Does anybody have any information on that as to whether it's working, it's functional or not at the moment?
They're both working at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's probably done
It's
it.
definitely working.
Well, haven't had any batteries.
if we could just drop him a note just to confirm whether he's done that, because I mean, otherwise it works for a few days and then it's...
Yeah. Okay. And then the only other thing that was raised from residents in the Willows, there is some grass overgrowing on the bank, which appears to be more our side than theirs. They can't get at it. Just wondering whether Jason might be able to perhaps have a go when he does the other part of that area. And if you're happy with that, I'll have a word with Jason and ask him if he could do it when he next does that area.
Well, certainly he has the key to go and do the grass that's on the top of the bank, so I can't see why he couldn't do the... Because it's outside of the bank, so it is our responsibility.
Yeah. So, but I'll ask, so I'll have a word with Jason on that. But no other matters on the surgery, everything else was okay.
Okay, so working group reports, we mentioned the project tracker. Footpaths, is there anything that you've been updated on footpaths?
Yes, I've been walking miles and miles and miles because lots of people have complained about lock gates and things like that. There is definitely a problem from Middle Street down, not necessarily with the lock gates, but from some confusion as to where the footpaths actually are. And I think what we need to get is some proper way markers, because you get to a certain point and it might look like that's the path, but when I spent quite a lot of time with the maps and stuff, I realised that the paths are actually in a slightly different place, so it looks like the gate's locked, but it might not be. So I think that we need some better definition of where the paths actually, the legal paths actually are, so that people aren't getting into a muddle about where they're meant to go.
Is this the one, is this the one that goes past Richard Isaac's house, over the railway bridge, past the farm, and ends up on the bridle path right at the far end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes left-handed. If you carried it on, you'd either go to get to Ford Common at Breen,
Yes.
or you go left-handed and you come out of the S-bends. But if you go left-handed and then go left again, you come back up behind Paul Frost's and come into the back. But in several places, it's quite confusing where actually the path leads, because in some places there's a way marker, but it's very, very faded or hidden by some vegetation or something. If you really look, you can find it, but it's not too obvious, and there are an awful lot of locked gates down there, and I'm guessing that's because there's a lot of sheep down there and a lot of people are wandering off the path, so people have got fed up, farmers have got fed up and they've locked the gates. So I think that we need to just get some definition about where the paths are meant to be, that's all.
So if we could contact Chris East, in the past he has sent us through the way markers that we've actually put up.
Yeah.
So if he could send us another set of
discs.
yeah.
Yeah, I think just a few of us,
Just
we can
nail
just
the
walk
discs
around and
on.
say, put that on there,
Yeah.
then we can see where to go exactly.
Yeah.
The only other thing I was going to say is about the Windy Ridge actual field, is because obviously we identified that the path was around the perimeter of the field, not through the middle, but because the grass is really high around the perimeter, people are still walking across the beaten path, if you like, through the middle. So I think we could either somebody needs to mow a track around the outside. So I don't know if that's something they'd be prepared to do, because they're obviously quite keen for people to use the actual path, which is the perimeter, and not go through the middle.
Really? Is the actual path the
Yeah,
perimeter?
the perimeter. But because it's not easily accessible, because the grass is obviously quite high,
Yeah.
and they would like the perimeter used, so... I don't know if
So-
we can.
I thought that was,
So it's just, so the path in effect follows just inside the line of, it's not on the drive, it's in the field, but it's
Mm.
the edge of the field rather than going diagonally across it. I mean, if council are happy, I'm happy to talk to the owners of Windy Ridge and suggest that they might like to
Yeah.
make it much clearer, because as I say, they originally were the ones who were keen to get people
Yeah, and
not
they've got
walking
the
across the
sign
middle of
up
their field.
saying, can people use the perimeter? And people aren't going to be inclined to when it's not really very accessible, so they're going to have everyone just parading through the middle.
Okay. Happy to do that. Has anything happened on the further section in terms of being cut back?
Not yet.
So, because that was, I think we corresponded, didn't we, with,
I spoke to the landowners while you were away, Bob, actually,
Yeah.
and I was told that they were proposing to do it within a couple of weeks. That was about 3 weeks ago.
Mm.
So, I would have thought that by now that should be getting somewhere near being completed.
so I think the timescale worked out, wasn't it, a week after this meeting with the
I
absolute
think
deadline?
it was, wasn't it?
So in which case, if we keep an eye on that, and are members happy that we then write to the landowners to say, if you don't do it, we will get a contractor in and we will part you the bill?
And we do have a quote, of course, to do it.
Yes.
I
Mm.
think it's £430.
Okay. We'll follow that up and we'll give them one more week and then formally be in touch to say it's got to be done. Otherwise we're doing it and we'll send you the bill. Okay, one other thing just to mention in that general area is I took down a sign which was up at Manor Farm, which used to say to the knoll because it was hanging by one screw, it had rotted. So I've taken it down on the basis of if it was left there it might be a walkabout. So I will see if I can find someone who's happy to put a wooden back on it and then we can just put it back on the wall again. The sign itself is in good nick, it's just the surround that's rotted.
I saw it in your garage, had a good look at it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, anything else on footpaths? If not, highways, any Malcolm?
I'm not on the footpaths now.
No, on highways.
I'm highway. I'm not on highways.
Oh right, sorry, who's highway? Sorry, who's
I
highways?
think I'm highways.
I'm terribly sorry, Jane.
That's all right, so I think I'm
Going to auto
I'm highways,
route.
yes. No,
Jane.
only at the top of Brent Street and going left to Station Road on that horrible bend.
Yes.
The shrub tree, which is, I think it's probably blinds, it's blocking more pedestrians in my case. It might block cars as well.
Have spoken with the landowner, he is
Right.
going to cut it back.
Right, okay.
So he's aware now that there was an issue.
I'm
So
not aware of
in
anything
fact,
else.
he'd seen it in the minutes that had gone online on the Owen posts. So he contacted us to say what we're all about, and then he said he will deal with it. So
Yeah.
it is
But it hasn't at the moment, but anyway, yes.
okay.
Nice to know somebody reads it.
Absolutely. And as Owen said, the bollards or cones issue has been resolved. It was open reach.
Yeah.
Someone did actually speak to them to say, well, why did you put it there the week before? And they said, well, it was as a warning for them coming. And you're thinking, well, how does that warn you anything? Because there was no sign to say what it was
No.
about. So. But it was open reach and they will be back. They've started marking some areas where they're going to be doing some trenching work. So that should hopefully be linking with the forthcoming coming through of the superfast broadband route. If there's nothing else on highways, Village Green, I think Mr. David.
I looked at it every 4 weeks, basically every week. Grass was average condition, often long and wet, but that's weather with a lot of clippings left on the surface, but we're going to discuss that later, I think. All benches and picnic tables are all in good order currently, since we took the rotten ones out, and therefore the low maintenance ones. The perimeter fencing and hedges were good. Entrance hedge, right hand side, needs attention as it gets this time of year. General rubbish and tidiness, there was a few bits of litter over the month, but generally good. Car park was weedy around the perimeter, but all okay. Toilet block was all okay at each inspection, but Amanda said there was a drain smell from the storage room, which there definitely is from the manhole cover. But a few people have said there's been issues in between me having a look at them, so I'm not sure if they've been resolved or not. Telephone box was all okay. I did stick my head in. Any other comments? Small autumn clear up may be necessary around the entrance. That's about it.
Okay, Jane.
The ladies' toilets hand dryer doesn't work, still not working.
Right. Okay.
Do you want that?
Yes, please, thank you.
Who's up for the next?
John Matthews is the October person.
Could you
I'll
run down and
I've
a
sent
copy of
it.
the sheet?
I've sent him a sheet and this evening actually,
Excellent.
so I knew yours was coming, so.
Anything else that anyone wants to raise on Village Green or toilet block? Okay. I don't believe the staffing group met.
No.
Building working group didn't.
Well, we only did it on the National Grid meeting with Colin,
Which-
and I.
it was on the
It was
agenda.
covered anyway.
Okay. And shop working group.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So very briefly, in terms of the Somerset Council member, a couple of things just to update you on. In terms of budget, no real change. We're still currently heading towards about a £25 million overspend this year. The committee that I'm now chairing, one of the scrutiny committees, has set up a couple of working parties looking at the capital commercial investments that have come from the 4 district councils. There's about £250 million worth of investment properties that are owned across the country in various different sectors. They're being looked at to see sort of, the reason they were invested in originally was so that the income that would come from the properties would help offset the costs of running the council. That's being looked at to see how the levels of income are holding up, what the value is of the different assets and whether it's worth actually selling them and cashing in, if that's commercially sensible, or whether it's better to stick with them. So that's something that will be looked at. In terms of general things, you should all hopefully have had a letter come through from the council reminding you to register to vote. It's the annual one that comes around, but it's certainly worth filling it in. You never know what might happen in the next 12 months. Go Green grants, and there are 2 sets of grants that have been set up, a Go Green scheme and a Somerset Green business grants, which are to help businesses who want to invest in reducing their carbon footprint. So there are some fundings that are available through the council. So